right out of the Doce pit area, which is down on Iron Springs Road. From there, the fire progressed to the north and to the east, up around the area called Little Granite Mountain, and then into Granite Mountain Wilderness itself. So this time we've got approximately 300 firefighters on scene. We've got multiple fixed-wing assets, the heavy air tankers, as well as numerous large helicopters.
What about the homes?
Homes. Initially today, we had an immediate evacuation of homes in the Granite Basin area, as well as homes on Blackjack Drive, which is off Iron Springs. We had the Iron Springs Club on 1-hour notification, and we put notice to Wildwood and Highland Pines for a 4 to 6 hour notification. In the last couple hours, the fire has progressed through the Granite Mountain Wilderness to the east, and the areas impacted currently are American Ranch Subdivision and Sundown Acres, which is multiple hundred homes as it moves down into the larger Williamson Valley corridor.
What are you evacuating? Are you evacuating those two subdivisions?
Those two subdivisions, Sundown Acres and Williamson Valley, are being evacuated at this time.
Do you have a total of how many homes have been evacuated?
Don't have a total at this point, but it's in the hundreds, into hundreds.
Is Williamson Valley the same as American Ranch, or is that another?
Correct. Yeah, American Ranch is the subdivision in the Williamson Valley corridor.
And how close is the fire to these homes?
Last report we heard was somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 yards.
Are people cooperating?
People are cooperating, yes. We've had a great response from County Emergency Management, from Yavapai County, local fire departments, Central Yavapai, Prescott Fire Department, Groom Creek Fire Department, Arizona State Forestry, Prescott National Forest, as well as some of our partnering forests with the Tonto, Coconino, Kaibab National Forest, and multiple air tankers and aircraft came from further out of the area.
Is there any containment so far?
Zero containment at this point.
What are the biggest challenges firefighters are facing?
Biggest challenges, obviously everybody knows it's been a really dry year. 1,000-hour fuel moistures, meaning our large fuels, are down to 4%, which is pretty historic for us. This fire is in remote, rugged terrain, and then there's a lot of urban complexities as well. So fuels are dry, it's hot out, it's windy out, and it's rugged country for the folks out there.
The fire has moved to the east side of Granite Mountain.
Fire has moved to the east side of Granite Mountain, that's correct. Came off the top. Fire had enough energy as it pushed to the top to throw some spots off to the east, and then now it's down in the flats in that Sundown Acres, American Ranch area. And I speak in broad terms when I talk American Ranch and Sundown Acres. Really anybody that's adjacent to the wilderness and the Williamson Valley corridor should be on high alert.
How do you plan to contend with a fire overnight?
Well, we are going to run a night shift throughout the night. Like I said, we've got about 300 folks out there. The one thing we do lose is we lose our aviation assets overnight. So once the sun goes down, we lose that. But that's also a time where the shadows get long and the fire has a tendency to calm itself down. So,
is the Prescott National Forest the command team for this?
Currently, the incident commander is from the Prescott National Forest. We are working with all the other agencies like we talked about with a mutual aid response, but the Prescott National Forest is in charge of the
Jeff, who is the commander?
Scott Schrank is the incident commander at this time.
Do you feel like you have sufficient a number of firefighters? Are you calling in more resources?
We're calling in more resources. We're at somewhere around 300, and we made the decision about 30 minutes ago to order a Type 1 incident management team. They'll be coming from throughout the southwest area here, and we'll in-brief them tomorrow. Time to be determined, and they'll take over the incident tomorrow.
Any incident caused yet at this point?
Human caused, under investigation.
As you watch the fire progress throughout the day, describe how active it's been. We've seen different colors, different, moving more at times than others. The plume continues to rise.
Yeah, extreme fire behavior out there with the fuels and the wind and the weather that we're dealing with. This is almost a carbon copy of a fire we had back in 1990 called the Doce fire. That got to be somewhere around 2,000 acres. So it's burning in the old footprint of the Doce fire, and then now it's progressed further to the north and east of the Doce fire.
So is this the second Doce fire?
It's long enough ago to where we didn't put a number on it yet.
Could you elaborate on the possibility of the human cause? Are we talking a cigarette? Are we talking what?
No comment at this
Have you
point.
lost
Under
any-
investigation.
Have you lost any structures yet?
No structures lost at this time.
Any injuries?
No injuries.
What do you say to people who live in Sundown Acres or Williamson Valley who are being evacuated? I mean, you said 400 yards, that's close.
Very close, no doubt about it. It's a real natural disaster. There's a lot of chaos happening out there with the public at this time. You got to realize that the Sundown Acres, American Ranch, they were the ones that were getting the impacts of the smoke throughout the course of the day. So I'm sure they were on high alert. We've got a lot of calls in today from folks in that area, and it's gradually progressed throughout the day.
Did you anticipate the fire moving this way, or did the wind shift and?
The wind hasn't shifted, and we anticipated it moving through the wilderness. There was obviously unknowns on how far it would progress today, but without a doubt, we anticipated the fire moving in this direction.
Do you have a model on what may happen tomorrow if we get 40-mile-an-hour winds?
We're in the process of running some short and long-term fire behavior models, and we haven't spit those out of the computer yet. But without a doubt, we're going to incur a pretty difficult day tomorrow with the wind. A few things that we have going in our favor is the alignment with the slope and the wind. Once it does come off of Granite Mountain, it gets into some country that's very flat. We do have a lot of values at risk in terms of structures and infrastructure there, but it is moving into some flatter country, into some lighter fuels.
What are exactly, Jeff, the fuels in this fire?
There's a mix of fuels. It started down around Doce Pit at the lower elevations. It's grass and sparse brush. Moves into some higher elevation country, very thick chaparral. And then on top of the mountain itself, we've got ponderosa pine, pinyon juniper pine mixed in there.
Is there any topping from this fire?
Excuse me?
The tops of the trees to explode and spread the fire?
Yeah, we have experienced some mid-range spotting, and that's what we're seeing the impacts of down there in the Williamson Valley corridor right now. As the fire crested the top, it was loft and embers and spots out to the north and east.
Is anyone specifically being questioned or in custody right now?
Not at this time.
What's the worst case scenario?
No comment on that at this time.
How far ahead is it spotting out?
Reports were upwards of a third of a mile, quarter mile to a third of a mile. A lot of that country is reduced visibility because of the smoke plume, so it's difficult to tell.
What's the best case scenario?
The best case scenario is nobody gets hurt. We don't lose homes, we don't lose infrastructure, and folks don't lose their personal belongings.
Can you take me through the acreage one more time, how quickly it's gone through and where we're at again right now?
The last report was 5,000 acres. You got to realize that's really a rough guess at this point, hand-drawn from an individual in a helicopter.
How can the evacuees get updates? Where can they go? Because they're asking us how they get information.
You bet. We've got a number of outlets. The Yavapai County Emergency Management website is probably the best avenue at this point.
And that website is?
I don't have that handy. I imagine somebody else would have that.
It's regional.info/alert.org.
So you said there are hundreds of homes in this area. Give me an idea again of how many people you believe are being, or homes are being evacuated.
I'm going to say in the hundreds at this point.
And is that a mandatory evacuation?
It's a mandatory evacuation for Sundown Acres and American Ranch.
What's the next subdivisions out that have you put any others on alert out?
They have put some folks on alert. I don't want to get into naming specific subdivisions because I don't want to misquote that, but really anybody that's in the Williamson Valley corridor is potentially impacted.
That goes to Seligman, I mean.
Okay, all the way up to the area around Inscription Canyon, south of that country there.
Up to the south edge of Inscription Canyon.
Yep.
Can you tell me what you guys are doing to save these homes? I know that it's really difficult for firefighters when you see these homes. I mean, what are you guys doing?
There's a tremendous amount of work being done out there right now. We've got, like I say, 300 people out there. We've got hotshot crews, Type 2 hand crews. We've got Type 1 engines from the local fire departments. We've got Type 3 engines out there. We've got a lot of resources on the ground as well as resources in the air. We've got multiple air tankers. The DC-10, our very large air tanker, has been working this fire all day, and we've got heavy helicopters working the fire as well.
What local departments, Jeff?
We've got Prescott Fire Department, Century Up.